Here, on the morning of April 17, 1906, in San Francisco, I am standing behind the brass-railed counter of the Palace Hotel Switchboard, threading cords into holes that blink like patient little eyes, not knowing this web of wires will soon fall silent. The city outside hums with cable cars and hoofbeats, but in here it is the soft clatter of plugs, the faint ozone smell from the batteries, and the rustle of telegrams that sets the rhythm, as if nothing in the world could interrupt this routine. The first signal is not a sound or a tremor, but the quiet assumption that tomorrow will look like today, that the circuits will hold, and the ground will stay where it is. Quiet systems feel safest until they don't. On this street, New Montgomery, the fog has already burned off by late morning, leaving the cobblestones warm under the wheels of delivery wagons as I step out for a 10-minute break, pocket watch in hand, counting the minutes like coins. The Chronicle boys shout headlines about distant wars and railroad deals, but no one sells a paper about the ground itself. And I watch a mason on a scaffold pause, squint at the clear sky, and go back to work as if the bricks will always stay where he puts them. Something unseen is already keeping its own schedule, and no one on this corner is prepared to read it. Something unseen is already keeping score. Inside the hotel lobby, the air smells of cigar smoke, polished wood, and the faint perfume of travelers who have crossed the continent to arrive at this marble echo chamber of voices and footsteps. The first signal is a small thing, a guest from Oakland complaining that his call keeps dropping, my fingers testing the cord, the operator on the other end insisting her lines are fine, both of us blaming the other side while the chandelier above us trembles only from the passing of a heavy wagon. I jot the complaint in the margin of my logbook, a thin line of ink that will later be read as a warning. Though today it is only another note between room numbers and wake-up calls, filed away where no one thinks to look twice. Minor faults feel like background noise until they don't. Across Market Street by early afternoon, I run an errand for the chief operator, weaving through the clanging cable cars and the smell of roasted chestnuts from a corner cart, thinking only about getting back before my next shift. At the post office, the clerk stamps a stack of permits for a construction foreman who mutters about deadlines. And I notice one form left unstamped on the counter, its corner curling upward as if asking to be seen, while the clerk hesitates, then slides it aside to deal with later, without clear guidance from anyone in charge. But the larger question is, how many such small hesitations and postponed decisions are already stacked beneath the surface of the city, waiting for something to press down on them all at once, in a way no one has scheduled? A small delay hangs there, waiting to matter. Near the waterfront, the wind carries a mix of salt, coal smoke, and the sour tang from the fish stalls, and the long sheds of the Southern Pacific ferry terminal creak softly as passengers hurry to catch the next boat across the bay. I watch a family from the Midwest stare up at the city's hills, the father folding a timetable into his pocket, trusting its printed columns of departure and arrival times as if they were promises carved in stone, while a dock worker shrugs and says the boats are running a little off today. Schedules bend long before they break, and the ink on that folded paper cannot see what is already moving beneath the bay. We lean on timetables like anchors. Inside the palace dining room after work, the clink of silverware and the low murmur of conversation wrap around me as I eat staff supper at a side table, my fingers still tingling from hours at the switchboard. Up to this point, the day has been ordinary in the way that makes you think tomorrow will match it. Yet a waiter whispers that the gaslights flickered oddly in the kitchen, and the head steward waves it off, saying the lines settle sometimes when the city draws too much at once, as if the pipes and mains can absorb any demand we place on them. The room relaxes back into its routine, unaware that every comfortable explanation is another stitch in a pattern no one is charting. We trust the hidden pipes more than each other. At the edge of Chinatown near 9 p.m., I cut through narrow alleys on my way home, the air thick with incense, frying garlic, and the sweet burn of roasting chestnuts. Lanterns swaying slightly above doorways, as if nodding to a rhythm I can't quite hear. But the larger question is, why the ground feels faintly restless under my boots, a sensation so slight I tell myself it's only the rumble of a distant streetcar, while a shopkeeper pauses in sweeping his threshold, looks down at the boards, and then resumes, deciding without a word that nothing is wrong enough to mention. We both walk on, leaving that shared hesitation behind us like a question no one volunteers to answer. We notice, then decide not to notice. Across my boarding house room on Folsom Street, the wallpaper curls at the seams and the gas lamp hisses softly, casting a yellow circle over my small desk where I balance my ledger and set my pocket watch beside it. I think about the unstamped permit at the post office, the dropped calls, the flickering gas, and I tell myself that every city has its quirks, that these are only loose threads in a fabric that has always held, even as I picture the great steel frame of the call building downtown, and wonder how it would look if the earth ever truly moved. The image forms before the event arrives, and then I close my ledger on it, as if shutting a drawer on a thought that will not stay put. Steady habits hide approaching edges. On this street, later in the night, the city quiets to a softer register, the distant bell of a cable car, a dog barking once and then not again, the faint ticking of my watch on the bedside table marking each second as if it were no different from the last. From here on, the hours slip past in darkness, but somewhere beneath the wooden sidewalks and brick foundations, pressure that has been building for longer than any of us have been alive is nearing its own unseen threshold, indifferent to our timetables and our carefully wound clocks. The countdown continues whether we hear it or not, and the ordinary sounds of sleep do nothing to slow it. The countdown continues whether we hear it or not, inside the same Palace Hotel switchboard room before dawn, though I am not there to see it. The cords hang neatly, the logbook lies open to a fresh page, and the batteries hum with stored energy, ready to carry voices that will never complete their sentences. Within hours, the wires will sag, the glass insulators will rattle, and the system that seemed so solid will fail in a single long shudder, just as the unstamped permit will be buried under fallen plaster. And a proud timetable at the ferry terminal will flap uselessly in the smoke-stained air, its printed promises undone by a city that no longer runs on schedule. The picture of the first broken morning is already waiting, framed by doorways and windows that still believe they will see another routine dawn. Across the city, people sleep through these last quiet minutes, unaware that the image we are all waiting for, the first sight of Market Street choked with dust and leaning facades, the first crossing of refugees toward the ferries under a sky smudged with smoke, the first barrier lifted as soldiers wave crowds away from collapsing blocks, will arrive not as a single dramatic instant, but as a series of small, stunned recognitions. When the shaking comes, the switchboard will go dark, the gaslights will fail, and the timetables will lose their meaning. Yet the memory of this ordinary night will linger, in the way a room still holds the shape of someone who has just left, preserving the last moment before the city learns how quickly its certainties can change. This is one moment in a longer archive of cities shaped by time,